Hello, everyone. It's already more than 30 people in the audience. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. Uh, we are the Brazilian-Sweden Working Group on AI, Automation, and Digitalization webinar. My name is Carlos Foster. Later, we'll be joining Frederick Heinz will be joining us, will be the other moderator. I'd like to also to welcome Stefan Larsson and Marlon Matias. Thanks for accepting giving your presentation here. This webinar, the theme of this webinar is AI Centers in Sweden and Brazil, Lessons Learned. And the idea is to explore opportunities and challenges that are common for developing and running AI centers, such as governance, outcomes, infrastructure, data access, scalability, financial models, partnerships, whatever we want to talk about, from both Brazilian and Swedish perspectives. Okay. So again, I think we can already start the presentations. So first invite Stefan left, Professor Stefan from Lund University. And the title of his presentation will be AI Lund, enabling interdisciplinary AI research and education at a Nordic full faculty university. Can you put your presentation?
Yes, 1 second. It's a bit slow in my computer here. So hopefully you see a presentation here, and I'm starting it, but I know tested it before. But the point I want to make on this presentation is we have this very interdisciplinary, cross-cutting collaboration on the university, but we also sort of struggle, or we try to mitigate that we are what we call a full faculty. So that means we want to find ways to make the, for example, engineering faculty talk to the lawyers, have the economist have conversation with humanity. So that's part of the challenge we have, and that's why I put the title as enabling that sort of conversation. I'll have a look at time so I don't talk too much. My name is, yeah, as you said, Stefan Larsson, and the actual background here is about how it looks in Sweden at the moment, at least in southern Sweden. In a few weeks, all these leaves will be gone, unfortunately, and it will be like grayish, at least in southern Sweden. And you see my background here. I'm an associate professor in technology and social change. It means I basically am a social scientist looking at technologies. So I don't come from the engineering side initially. I come from law and sociology, which means that the colleagues I have in AI Lund in the leadership, we are from different types of disciplines. And of course, we have Kalle Åström, professor in image recognition, so a mathematician. And this sort of is part of the conversation all the time, this sort of interdisciplinary sort of way of organizing things. Let me start, because I noticed the audience is not necessarily all know all about Sweden at this stage. So I wanted to show you, this is Northern Europe, and Lund University is in the southernmost part of Sweden. Sweden is pretty long country, so they soon will have snow up in the north, and we are very close to Denmark. So this is just a little bridge over, and this region is quite big in terms of Swedish measures then. So and the university is also quite large in Swedish measures. You see 46,000 students, somewhere closing in on 9,000 employees. That counts everyone, so it's not all teachers, of course. But it speaks to this challenge of how to communicate anything that should be drawing from all of the fields. I wanted to show you a little bit of the faculties. We have 9 faculties, and they will come here. Here you see the different types of faculties. On the one hand, they are distributed in terms of the sciences and the disciplines. Of course, we have engineering, which much of sort of the core or the tech parts of AI. So the math and the sensor-driven stuff is happening at the is taught and sort of research at the engineering faculty. But then, of course, you have some of the applications and the methods in science. But then you have some of the data related challenges in terms of data protection, which in Europe will be GDPR, or a new AI Act, which is also a European way of trying to sort of guide or govern AI. Some of that expertise is both found in law faculties, but also part of the economics and management faculty, which also has legal elements. But then, of course, you have those who study markets and management and all of that sort of disciplines in that faculty, and then humanities and also this arts and performing arts faculty. So so you see the sort of it's quite broad. um, Everyone has different types of capabilities, different types of methods, different types of theory. And on top of that, we're not always in one site. You see the little map, the very old map. Most of us are in Lund, but we have a campus in something called Helsingborg. We have a little airport with drone labs and things like that. And then we have some medical facilities in Malmö, which is another city. So all of that speaks to this sort of, okay, how do you even organize things that cross, that cuts across all of these things? Um, and I mean, if you're in the field of AI, then there will always be a little bit of a sort of definitional struggle as well. Okay, what is AI then? And what is like an AI course? Would it be data handling courses, or would it be automation things, or would it be law that touches slightly on AI and not necessarily at the core? So how you sort of categorize also impacts how we communicate. But to show you then a little bit more how we have divided it over these last, it's been about 5 or 6 years we've been organizing these things, but then with more and more sort of traction in terms of engaged researchers and teachers and engaged leadership of the university, and engaged sort of outreach or the regional and national sort of conversations with public sector authorities or companies or municipalities, the smaller sort of public sector. So one division we have is, of course, we both map um, um, and try to enable visibility for different type of initiatives at the university. We also try to foster networks. So if the lawyers want to have more AI sort of machine learning capabilities closer when they think about law, then we try to build those bridges to the engineering faculty and vice versa. Uh, Things we do in education, for example, support teachers, which is also sort of mapping what's going on. I mean, it's big enough for us to not really understand what's going on in all other places. So part of the effort is just to map things. Research, the same thing. Of course, we don't, at the core of AI Lund, write the applications, but we try to support, stimulate, have some means, some funds to sort of say, yeah, support webinars, support seminars, conferences, and things like that, which is also part of the collaboration, which is then, of course, is both for companies, and we have some of the headquarters around in firms like Axis, which does cameras and facial recognition things, parts of Sony, Ericsson, and those type of techie companies. But then, of course, regional, municipal, national state authorities want to automate and make things efficient, but then they may struggle with both methods, but also regulations or just policy, more softish governance. So all of those things we try to foster those types of engagement. And then, of course, the university as such is an organization that deals with data, people, automation, the internet. So we try to stimulate that, or at least those processes tend to be more on central level university. But then we are sort of a connective organization in the middle. So we try to support whenever they need competence from the teachers, finding people, or just reading policy proposals and things like that. I have another cake cut here for you too. I'm trying to show what we, and not get bogged down in detail too much, but if we look at the research side, it's all like a web, and we will soon hear more from large national programs in Sweden, like WASP. We have Amy Lutfi, I guess she leads it, and some of those projects are in Lund as well. There are national or collaborative things between universities like Elite, which Frick Heinz is also part of. So there's always these sort of cross-country programs going on. WASP HS is where I'm often listening on or depend on, because that's the HS is humanities and society. So AI research from a societal and humanistic perspective. That's where you find me then. And then we have a bunch of research labs, all from the very tech focused robotics to the more human focused human and robotic interaction framed, or things like AI in society, which is more or implications or consequences. So there's a whole range of different types of labs, of course. And then in education, we do both, trying to stimulate, encourage teachers to develop online courses or develop AI-related courses, both on the tech side or the law side or on the humanistic side, but then also just trying to map and see, okay, what are we doing at the university? And then, of course, there are some fluctuations on courses for PhD students, because they could be more short term, or 1 year they give it and then another year we change it. So this, all of those things. Collaboration, there are some Swedish national things like AI Sweden, or there's a Nordic collaborations with other similar entities like AI Lund, which we also try to foster as a group. Lots of outreach and coordination. I'm going to show some images soon so you can see how we do the seminars. And lastly, of course, the administrative sort of own needs. So it's like a whole cake, just to try to foster and find synergies between. Of course, we have lots of ideas on how to steer or organize. I'm not going to go through all of this, but you see there's like a core group doing weekly meetings. There's a more central level university group that meets every once a month, talking to the central level. And then we have the different themed areas like education, outreach, coordination, that also has these meetings. That's a way to organize it. And I'll happily answer any questions, because I guess everyone who wants to foster like a network like this has also have to have clever ideas on how to organize it, of course. And then, of course, we do lots of different types of seed funding to some extent for just to find new ideas or support new ideas that get proposed. Lots of workshops, email lists, internet sort of availability. We have this ai.lu.se /TV. We have a little, well, we collect recorded events. I mean, even on this stage, like webinars like this would end up in this sort of TV site. This is just some examples on what types of seminars. We mainly ask people to give seminars on what they work on currently. So, for example, it could be in the middle, you see from EU rules to national reality. That would be like a legal seminar. Okay, what happens to the AI Act landing in Sweden? Then you have one on girls in science. That would be more women and technoscience, trying to foster that. And then you have one on brain imaging. So you see, it's related to AI, but it's sort of from different types of angles. Robotics Week, political bias studies. That would be more political science, but related to AI, at least LLM studies. And then we have seminars, a few big ones, like all-day seminars, a few a year, but then continuously the weekly webinars. There should be, and the important thing is that, well, we call it fika to fika, which means like having coffee to having a coffee, the space in between. basically. So we have lots of time to just say hi and have coffee and tea, and then present. So those will be the full day stuff. But then also, of course, low threshold webinars. For example, during lunch, everyone is eating lunch and someone's presenting on brain imaging or whatever, and just to keep things going. Because then in my sort of experience, people find the connections to, oh, is she doing that? Wow. And is he doing that? Wow. Let's talk more about that. So that sort of outreach is, we try to do it continuously, which is great. Another topic would be public sector AI, which of course is one of my strong interests. And it's also full of sort of challenges. Of course, the public sector wants to be more efficient, need to meet lots of big challenges in healthcare or education, or I don't know, tax authorities want to find fraudsters and stuff like that. But then on the other hand, you always have like sometimes it doesn't work. How do you draw the line? What's legal? How do you invent policies internally to make it responsible and sustainable, things like that. So we try to blend between disciplines. And as I said, these are examples of webinars from anything from, well, LLM in spatial analysis to Japanese interactive opera, which is the more performative arts then, of course. And that lands on this site, the Lund, AI Lund TV site. So have a look at that if you want to look for topics. I think that would be it. So basically, Broad University trying to find bridges internally, continuously work with outreach, and have presence online and in other channels to sort of keep it going. But I'm happy to answer any question or take tips on how to develop it. Um, Now I'm gonna skip the sharing. I hope you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I'm waiting for some questions from the audience. I think they can write the questions. I'm not sure. Oh,
I hope I have unshared now, right? Because my screen is half frozen. I see you though, but my half screen is still there.
Yeah, I can ask a question then if while anyone does. The AI was at first more self-contained for less accessible to the broad community, and now suddenly it became easy for people to interact to use AI because of LLMs.
Mhm.
And how when this change happened, how the perspective changed for your for the AI in the university?
Well, I think the first, I mean, some of us were looking at AI in the frame before ChatGPT, for example. But then, of course, the very technical researchers have been um, researching AI, or what we could call AI, at least for decades, also in Lund. So some of the large frame computers and some of these sort of early robotic stuff were also in Lund. But of course, a few years back, I think that the attention also from leadership and also the attention from media, the attention from just, I don't know, family members asking, oh, so you do AI research? That sort of terminology and awareness of that there's something going on with these terminologies that are of interest to many, that also sort of impacted how we organize things and how we talk about things. I feel like there's lots of interest around the terminology, although it's not necessarily always clearer. Sometimes it can be some frustration that the newcomers think of that all AI is about generative AI, while those who have been around for a while in the fields, they want to sort of quickly point out that, hey, it's also this and that. It's also image recognition, for example. So there's always like, well, there's some friction sometimes. It's good to point that out though, because some of the studies that Lund have been doing has been on image recognition in for example, screening of screening in healthcare, for example, which is not at all the same thing as large language models. But then, of course, we'll probably see combinations and developments of all of it. But it has changed. I think that especially in media and especially in the sort of everyday conversation has been exploding basically, but then also leading to real, I would say what I guess more and more everyone is struggling with. Okay, how do you balance teaching, for example? How do you balance examination of student essays or other sort of hand-ins when you want them to learn things, not too quickly prompt their way through courses, but on the other hand, also learn the tools and understand the tools. So that sort of policy and teaching challenge is, I guess, here now, which is also a sort of a challenge for the university. Central level should develop some sort of policies. Education elements also develop policies. Core stages, the teachers also sort of struggle. Okay, how should we govern this? So what's our sort of stance and attitude? So I think that's at the moment one of the formative ongoing discussions. How's it at your is it the same for you?
But my school is only engineering school, so it's all the same. Everyone who worked with AI still does. So yeah, but yes, that's this question of what students can do using the AI, or then they or what then they have to do by themselves. But we have a strong ethical code, and they respect whatever the professors tell them to. So it's in my school, it's okay. So
We have
let me
some
see
questions
this.
maybe. I can't click on it though. So if you could read it, I could try to answer it though.
And there's a few questions here. How we can join those mailing lists and know for opportunities for collaboration.
Sure. I find ai.lu.se. There's easily you can just subscribe or register.
Does the university have any initiative to work with AI and biodiversity in the sense of discovering new molecules and targets, for example, pharmacy or cosmetics?
Oh, that's beyond my knowledge, I think. Of course, we have a lots of medical researchers, also in pharmacy, I guess. I've mostly seen the ones doing ideas on prediction medicine, like preventive care, more information based. How do you find or um, guide patients before they get sick, basically? I couldn't. I don't know, basically, yet.
And a question from Arcadio de Paula. To train AI models, we need significant infrastructure, such as GPUs, storage, and energy resource. How is London University dealing with these issues?
Well, I
So,
think, well, one would be the infrastructural question, I guess. And of course, there are um, resources at Lund. I guess that question is always on the table, how to invest and what to invest in. I guess that would also be a question for Linköping, who has been more public about their resources, and they seem, to my social scientific gaze, stronger on some of the basic infrastructures. But in terms of the sustainability and sort of maybe climate related question, if I remember the question correctly, then that's more like a policy question, which I guess it's becoming a question more and more. Should should the users be guided? Should we try to be more efficient? Should we not use um, some tools because they are driving too much energy consumption? Well, that's a good question though. I would assume that at university level, that's still like a formative discussion that could land in policies trying to steer, but it's not, I haven't seen many of them yet.
Yeah, there one question from Ahmed Abu El Fotou. What are main challenges faced your AI center to establish such a AI enabling ecosystem? What are your recommendations to bring academia and industry together? Two questions.
No, yeah, there are, of course, many challenges, some classic. How do you plan and have some sustainability for the organization over time? So that needs also resources and support from what central level university, I guess. Because they distribute money basically. So if they don't think it's a good idea, then it's hard to do much, right? So that would be one, but that's for all things at university, I think. How do you secure sufficient resources over time? But the tip, I guess, would be what I think has worked very well for us in terms of practices would be this very ongoing outreach of things. So the webinars open for everyone, the seminars free and open for everyone. Of course, that demands some resources though, but you can still do pretty much with pretty small resources. I think that has been very good for us. So it means also then you gather names in sort of email lists and you gather attention from people. So whenever you have a larger seminar you can invite, we have a couple of thousand to invite, and then maybe a couple of hundred shows up. So I think that sort of, which is an ongoing practice. You have to sort of be visible, have all the seminars, collect the names. But that thing has been providing good things for our organization, sort of the regional, sometimes national, sometimes international visibility and ongoing seminars, which doesn't have to be on the expensive side, but still they have to be active though. So I think that's one thing.
A last question here is from Gabriel de Andrade. What do you think about the use of AI in drones? What can we expect in the future?
I don't think I'm the right expert. And it's also a big question because it would also lean into, I guess, defense industry and military questions, I guess. I wish Kalle Åström was here because he's a drone um, expert. He's an image recognition expert, and some of his work goes into drones and other sort of positioning AI. So I wouldn't be able really to tell where it's heading. Good
I,
question, though.
yes, I can tell the future of transportation will be similar to piloting drones using AI thing.
Mm,
And there's so many other applications in agriculture and inspection. So it would be totally important in our everyday lives.
mm.
And there's a last question here. Is there any research on AI security applied to critical infrastructure?
Yes, and I think the interest is, of course, or the relevance is also growing. So there are more, but I can't provide a name on top of my head. But I know there are several groups of relevance to the question. You would have to scan the site to find the names, or I'll come back to you.
Okay, I think that were the questions. So thank you very much for your presentation.
Thanks for moderating. Thanks for questions too. I'll be hanging around, and I guess now it's time for next presentation.
Okay, so let's invite Professor Marlon from University of São Paulo. Make his presentation.
Okay, hello. Let me just share my screen. Give me a sec. Okay. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So, hello everybody. First of all, thank you for the invitation. It's an honor to be here. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Eva. Thank you, everybody from the organization. First of all, let me start with my background. I'm a professor here at USP. at the engineering school, more specifically the mechanical engineering department. But I'm going to present not about the engineering school. I'm going to present about the Center for Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning, which is another institute outside of the engineering school. This institute belongs to the whole university. So first of all, let me start talking a little bit about the university itself. So this picture here, it shows parts of our campus here in São Paulo. The engineering school, it's this part here. I'm not sure if you guys can see my mouse, but it's this part here in the back of the image to the left. But the campus of the University of São Paulo is quite large. We have all kinds of courses here, our areas of knowledge. And the university itself is spread among many cities. So we have the biggest campus here in São Paulo. That's the capital of the states. But we also have campi here in São Carlos, Pirassununga, Ribeirão Preto, Bauru. The biggest one is in São Paulo. That's the one that has all the areas of knowledge. The other ones are kind of more specific. So São Carlos, that's where I did my master's and my PhD, and also my undergrads. It's more focused on engineering. So we have more of the STEM sciences over there. We have Pirassununga, which is more foods. We have also Ribeirão Preto, which is more on the humanities side. Bauru, which has medical school. We have Santos, we usually have also engineering. We have Lorena with engineering. So it's a very big university, almost 100,000 students, roughly 2/3 undergrads, 1/3 graduate students. We have about 5,000 professors. Everybody is divided in 55 institutes. Among these institutes, we have the engineering school here in São Paulo. We have the medical school, we have law school, we have humanities, biological. We also have another engineering school in São Carlos, another engineering school in Lorena. So it's a very plural university. We have all areas of knowledge and also some multiplicities of the areas. So we have 3 engineering schools, for example. It's quite young compared to some universities in Europe. We are under 100 years old. The university is 91 years old right now. But we have some older schools. So the engineering school where I work was founded before the university. It's from 1893, I think. So back in 1934, we had the engineering school, the humanities school, and the law school, and also, no, sorry, the engineering school, the law school, and the medical school, they got together and formed the university. After that, we had humanities and all other units coming along. Usually, we rank about 100 in the international ranks. Usually, the first in Brazil, and often also first or second in Latin America. It's a public university, so it's completely free for all students, undergrads and graduate students. They pay nothing to be here, to study here. Often, there's also some inclusion on the best programs that actually help students to be here if they don't have the financial conditions to live away from their home. Okay, so now let me start about the AI parts in the university. We have some long history in AI. I was not here to know all of this history because it starts much earlier than this image shows. But this image shows the current centers. I mean, some of the current centers we have. So in 2018, we started with the CQD, that's the Center for Data Science. It's a partnership between the university, between FAPESP, which is the São Paulo Foundation for Research. It's a public foundation that funds research in the state of São Paulo and also in some other states. It's a partnership between USP, FAPESP, and Itaú, which is a large bank in Brazil. They came together to fund this Center for Data Science. After that, 2020, the university has started the Center for Artificial Intelligence, which is another partnership between USP, FAPESP, and this time IBM. So these 2 institutions came together to fund this center, which we call the C4AI. That's actually where I come in, because that's where I did my postdoc. This center is among the biggest centers for AI in the university. After that, we have some other centers coming in. We have Yara, that's for smart cities, Cinestec, that's for computer vision. Both of them also in partnership with FAPESP, with some companies. And now, in 2023, all these centers came together to start what we call CIAN. That's the Center for Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning. So CIAN, it's parts of the university. It's directly linked to the rectory, so to the university as a whole, not to any institutes. And this center works to actually put together all the centers that came before. So C4AI, C2D, Yara, Cinestec, they are all parts of this large center. And this center allows the university to have some more freedom on how to spend resources and how to make people come together to work on AI. So before we had many centers working, many of them with partnerships, in fact, but CIAN, it's the big center for the university that makes all the other centers come together to kind of facilitate all these partnerships between all the other centers. And after that, we had some more centers coming up. So we have also for smart cities, for data science, for medical sciences. They also, so CIAN is the big center of the university, and all the other centers come together under CIAN. And CIAN makes the communication between the other centers easier. It makes all the people come together because we have people that work at the same time in C2D and C4AI, for example. And these people came together in CIAN to make the communication between all the centers easier, because the university is very large. We have over 5,000 faculty. So it's quite difficult to make people all come together, all talk to each other all the time, because it's just too big. So this big center was the idea behind this big center, behind CIAN, was to facilitate this communication. So let me just talk about a little bit about all the smaller centers under CIAN. We have Yara, which is a large network for intelligent and sustainable cities. We actually have data and people from the state of São Paulo, which is here, but also from all over Brazil. So despite being a state university, we have outreach to other states, to the whole country. These are some of our partners. So we have national and international partners in CIAN. We have many events. So for example, in this slide here, and this picture, in the top parts of the slides, you saw a massive online open course we had a few years ago. We reached over 100,000 students in the first month. So it's a very large course. It was organized by people in the center. Right now, actually this week, starting yesterday, we're having a course on usage of HPC. This course is the second edition we're doing under CIAN. The first one was under C4AI, now it's C4AI with CIAN. It's a course on HPC for the USP students, researchers, and staff. So we are actually teaching people how to use the infrastructure we have. Because we do have some considerable infrastructure, but everybody who has used some kind of cluster before, some kind of HPC before, knows that's not trivial to step from running models in a notebook in Google Colab, for example, to step up to a HPC environment. So we are actually right now having a course for people on how to use this kind of resource. And one of the big topics we have in this course actually reminds me of a question we had before. So is it better to have our own infrastructure, or is it better to use the clouds, or is it better to use somebody else's infrastructure? And there's no right answer for that. Sometimes we like to have we like having the flexibility of running our own infrastructure, but it also comes with a big cost. How to maintain this? How to pay for the power? How to keep all this hardware running? It's not easy, but it also helps us with some other parts. So, for example, some projects they have restrictions on how we share this data, where we keep the data. So by using our own infrastructure, it's easier to actually maintain the data secure. so the data never leaves our university. If we use some cloud server, we have to make sure the cloud server is going to be restricted on the data, so this data does not leak. So we're having this course. Our idea for the coming months or years is actually to open this course to more people. So when we announced this, we had, I think, 100 spots. So we could only attend to 100 people. We have over 200, I think 300 people interested. So we are actually kind of understaffed to teach everybody, but we're trying, we're doing our best. So we're having this course right now, and maybe soon we're going to have another one, both for USP students, but also for people outside of the university. Now on to the C4AI, which is a big center under CN. I think it's the largest one. Our goal here in C4AI is to join people from all of the university and work on AI. So C4AI itself has many projects. We have people coming from the engineering school, the humanities, law, medical school. So all these people came together to work on AI and many projects in AI. So we have 15 PIs, but over 100 faculty members involved from many different institutes. We have many scholarships, me included. So my postdoc had a scholarship from C4AI. The Center for AI, not to be confused with the Center for AI and Machine Learning, we have 4 cities. So we work in 4 cities. That's São Paulo, São Carlos, Ribeirão Preto, and Piracicaba. The largest one, that's the picture on the top left, that's the one in São Paulo. So that place over there is a place where all researchers can work together. I really enjoy going to that place because we have researchers from the engineering school, law school, humanities, everybody working in the same office, the same place. So it's very nice to talk to each other, know about each other's projects. Many collaborations came along in this place, that room. The picture in the bottom left is the center in São Carlos. That's in the Mathematics and Computational Sciences Institutes. The top right, and I think it's Piracicaba, and the bottom right, I think it's Ribeirão Preto. But I could maybe I change, I swap it. We have many research challenges going on in the C4AI. We have challenges in the languages departments. So we have some challenges in the Portuguese language that joins people from the mathematics, from languages, from humanities. So we're trying to build corpus and also models, LLMs, for Portuguese language, because it's a language that has lower resources than, let's say, English, German, French. So we're trying to build LLMs that are specifically for the Portuguese language. And also there's a big challenge that's building and using AI for indigenous languages. Because if we think Portuguese language has lower resources than English, indigenous languages are on a whole other level of low resources. It's quite difficult to find resources on this. So we have some very good people working on making AI, maybe LLMs, for indigenous languages. As a goal the goal is to preserve these languages, to help people from the indigenous communities to keep their culture, their heritage, and to know the languages of the people. We also have some people working on the prediction of natural events. That's where I work. So my research is in this prediction of natural events parts. We have some people on decision making in food networks. So there's a map of the city of São Paulo, all the areas that have food shortages, that have people having issues buying foods, and we're trying to help the public power make decisions on how to improve this, on how to make food more accessible to everybody in the city. What kind of public policies can be established to improve this? We have the knowledge enhanced machine learning parts, where we try to bring together knowledge databases and machine learning. And we have people working AI in health. We also have the Brazilian AI Observatory. So that's more on the humanities side. So how AI is impacting Brazil and also other countries from the global south. So how AI is impacting these people, how we can work together to make AI actually benefit these people. So this is SOBIA, the Brazilian Observatory on Artificial Intelligence. That's the last one I mentioned. So how AI is impacting our society. Because we know AI, it's very expensive for everybody. For Brazil, it's a very expensive technology, and we often depend on many other sectors, many other countries. So how we can make the best use of this for our society? We have Ocean ML, that's Oceanography Informed Machine Learning. That's the project I work on. So we're trying to predict extreme events using AI. We have some very nice work that was published recently on storm tides in the city of Santos. The city of Santos is close to São Paulo, maybe 1-2 hours drive, and it has many problems with storm tides. It also houses the largest ports in Latin America, in Brazil at least. So it's a very important issue for us. So this is the work on indigenous languages. So more than working for them, we're working with them. So we have actually people from the indigenous communities working with us to help us build our models, our data sets. I think this one is a very beautiful work that's going on in here. We have works on the Portuguese language, large language models. We're building both some models and also data sets. So these are the models that we're trying to, the large language models that we're building for Portuguese. We have some outreach programs. So we have our social media. So anyone who's interested in knowing more, I recommend you checking out this site, cifrai.inova.usp.br, and also looking for the CN. So cn.usp.br. We have bi-weekly seminars on our YouTube channel. We have roundtables. So if you check out our YouTube channel, we often post our seminars over there. Sometimes we go live, depends on how big the seminar is. Sometimes just internal, so just people from the center presenting to each other, but it's also open. And sometimes we do some larger seminars where we invite people from abroad, people from other institutes to talk to us, to actually do this kind of outreach. We have diversity programs, so we have scholarships, especially for underrepresented groups. So these scholarships are managed by Renata and Valdney. They're doing a very beautiful and very nice work, actually coming together, getting people who otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity to work on AI and getting them to work with the center. And all of this came together in 2023 in the CM. So this few past slides I have shown, they're from the Center for Artificial Intelligence, where most people here are now involved also in CN. So right now, some of the works, we're working on the national large language model. We also felt the big impact that was the large language models in 2022, 2023, the big impact they had in all of society. Many people, when they hear AI, the first thing they think of are language models, but we go beyond that. So these are some of the corpus they're building. And this is the project I'm working on. This is the physics informed machine learning parts, where we have people from the engineering school, people from the oceanography departments coming together, joining knowledge. So instead of just using data science, so instead of using just the data from climates, we also try to use the physics behind. So instead of just relying on the data, we are also trying to bring together the physical knowledge. And this is very important in a climate change scenario, because as the world is changing, as the climate is changing, we actually do not have data on these new worlds, on these new climates, these new more extreme climates we're having. We just have the data from before. So if we try to join the physical knowledge with this data from before, maybe we can do some better modeling. We can use less data to actually build better models. So this concludes my presentation. I thank you very much for the space here. Now I'm open for questions. I'm sorry if it was just too much information, too many different projects coming together, but that's who we are. We are actually a very diverse center.
Thank you. Yeah, it's very nice. It's a huge university. Have many things happening. And thank you very much. We are open to questions. And right. Yeah, while people be writing the questions, I can first of all welcome Frederick for just arrived.
Yes, hello. Apologies for being late. We had a board meeting that was postponed for an hour, so that's why I fortunately missed the first part here. But now I'm here, and also Amy is with me, so we are ready for the second half at least.
Oh, okay, I want to ask Marlon about the funding models. If you can explain a little about for both the C4AI and for the CAAM, what the funding models that they happen. Can you
Oh, yeah,
explain a little?
okay. So CM, the Center for Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning, it's directly connected to the university itself. So we have some money directly from the university, but then the centers inside CM, so let's say the C4AI, also C2D, so the Center for Data Science, they are partnerships between the university, FAPESP, and IBM. So often FAPESP makes they have some calls. So they say, hey, we have some money we can spend on AI projects, on applied. Sometimes they call these applied engineering centers. So, hey, we have some money for this. And we submit, so people submit projects for them. And this kind of projects, they actually require some partnership with some company. So for Force for AI, it was a partnership with IBM. So FAPESP comes with the half the money, IBM comes with the other half of the money, and USP has the physical space and the people to make this work.
Thank you. No written questions so far. So we can move on. How supposed to be this panel? Someone is asking here.
Okay.
Alessandra, hello, Alessandra. How about international partners?
Yeah, so in CN and also for AI, we have some international advisors. So each of these groups, we have some international advisors, often from other universities. We are always in touch with them. We do have some international partnerships. So each group has their international partnerships. We also have international advisors in the center. If we go to the center's websites, we actually have the list of all our international partners.
Um, there's a panel, just a question and answers session. I think we did that.
I can ask a question though, because I'm curious on your experience, what we call interdisciplinary sort of bridges, cross-cutting stuff. So you presented, of course, more on the tech side or the physics-informed AI development, but how do you experience this? If you need collaborations, how is it going, and how do you think is it a struggle within universities, or are you keeping the engineers so in one corner and the lawyers and the rest in another corner, or how do you make that conversation work? I'm just
That's
curious because
a great,
I don't know how it's structured in your university.
yeah, that's a great question because the university itself is divided in 55 institutes, and sometimes I feel it's quite difficult to find people and to talk to people in our institutes. Part of the idea of the centers is actually to make this happen.
All right.
So the Center for AI has people from all over the university. It has some different challenges. So naturally, people from is gonna go to this kind of projects like the prediction of network events. People from humanities are going to the observatory, to the Portuguese language, and so on. But we do have people working on more than one project. And also it's much easier to let's say, I need someone to find the social impacts of some extreme events. So I'm working on the prediction of network events project, but I need to understand the social impacts of some extreme events that's going to happen. Having the center makes it way easier to find someone. I have their contacts. I often talk to them in the biweekly seminars. So having the center makes it much easier to actually find these people and talk to them on how to integrate this kind of knowledge.
All right, but so the centers and maybe seminars become sort of interfaces on top
Yeah,
of the
exactly.
what would be the traditional structure of, disciplinary organization. But okay, but
Yeah.
that's good. Thanks.
I can ask Stefano or even maybe Frederick if you, is there a strategy in Sweden for creating AA centers today?
No, I wouldn't say there's a strategy for that. I'm looking at Fredrik and Amy. We all represent. Well, of course, there's funding in programs that stimulates clusters and research infrastructures and all that. So those enable lots of stuff, I think, like the WASP or the WASP HS or Elite or DDLS or things that sort of creates things, and the seminars and then the symposia and all that stuff does those things. But I wouldn't say there's a national, center policy per se, I guess. Fredrik, maybe you're more involved in those conversations than me.
So, I mean, I would say that, besides what we already, the things you have mentioned, I think that the current most relevant is this, that we're looking in for excellence clusters. So rather than
True,
centers, it's
good.
more about how do we connect different existing centers into clusters of excellence. So I think there are a number of different, directions. So, one is to foster a bit more specialization among the universities. So, I think we have had a tradition where basically every university does everything. And now there is a desire to kind of push the universities into a bit more specialization, and then to work together in this excellence clusters, for example, where they together then can complement each other rather than everyone is doing the same. And there are currently calls both from the Innovation Agency and from the Science Foundation regarding this. We have also had that so basically we have the three main funding agencies is the Science Council, the Innovation Agency, and also there is a Strategic Research Council, and they have had a number of centers in different areas. So there's been one in 6G technology, one in
cybersecurity.
Yeah, well, that's why, but I think there are two that has been awarded. And then there's one call currently out on cyber resilient AI, which is going to be decided by the end of this year. And then for next year, there is a call for drone swarms. So basically, again, it's a national center. So I think there is a trend that the funding agencies prefer to see one kind of national initiative where there are multiple partners collaborating rather than having several parallel projects. So those are some of the kind of current developments. I don't know, Amy, if you want to add something.
No, I think you captured it beautifully.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Eva is telling us to just continue instead of taking a break. Okay.
Yeah, it's already past 4. So are there some more questions regarding this first session? So are your presentation?
My slides?
Yes.
Should I?
Yeah, if you can connect.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, we're in the same physical room.
Yeah.
So that's why. Maybe it's easier.
And how does the panel so I have to go at
20 minutes.
20 minutes
Yeah.
for.
Presentation, and then there will be a second. So in this second hour, the intention is to have two presentations. So we have Amy Lutfi, who's the program director for the VASP program, and we also have Lilian Berton, who's going to talk about the Jasmine platform and also Brazil's journey to Industry 4.0. So we have two 20-minute presentations. And then we have discussions similar to what we have at the moment. But while Amy is connecting, are there any more questions regarding the first hour?
Yes, and there's one question here from Arcadio de Paula. On this noise here, in this new era of artificial intelligence, many companies want to adopt AI but don't know how to start. How does CM at the University of São Paulo foster interaction with the business sector to address real-world and societal challenge through AI? For Marlon, the question. Did you get the question, Marlon?
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. I was just trying to find the unmute button. So we do have some people that make this bridge happen. We have Enio, for example. He's the one I think people should look for when trying to establish some partnership with this for AI. We also have Jairo, which the administrator. I think any of them would be able to answer this much better than me. But we do have people that work specifically to make these bridges happen. I think we have their contacts in the CM website. Let me see if I can find it. If I find their contacts, I'm going to share here in the chats.
So maybe I can kind of ask a question. So in some sense towards Stefan, I mean, my understanding of AI Lund is that you're very broad. I mean, it's not just a research network. It's not only kind of towards companies, but it's really towards society. And I'm just curious, I mean, because in some sense that's quite a bit unusual for us as researchers to have that broad kind of stakeholder engagement. So I would like to just curious about what do you see as the biggest added values of having this very broad and open community involving not only researchers but also the general population?
Well, I think I most easily can think of the public sector connections because that has made me and some of the researchers of my kind to more easily have those connections. I mean, you understand what's going on at the tax authorities or the regional healthcare administrations or the public, like the municipal. So with those conversations, I think that it has sharpened some of the research we do. On the one hand, that we actually know what they struggle with, which is good for us when we sort of pursue the stuff we want to do research on. But also, I like to think that we also provide a little bit more actionable stuff back. So they, at least, or I and others like you also, we get asked to give advice on policy levels for whenever I don't know. It would be like policy for how to use generative AI in the public sector, for example. So when our studies more are aligned or can provide them with some insights, it helps the policies, I like to think, which then helps the public sector to use or avoid the worst stuff and use the good stuff with AI. So I think that sort of close interaction has gained some of those, at least, benefits, I think. I can't really assess, but I would assume some of the image recognition, Kalle Åström, and sort of Axis and those companies who do close related work, because I notice how they also send PhD students, but they also get master students, and that interaction fosters some of the good stuff in that field, I think, at least.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I find this very interesting that I think we have a quite broad and open engagement, which I think is something that, I mean, we should, which I maybe market more or I mean, share more knowledge about, because I think that's a bit unusual in many countries. Okay, thank you very much. So now it's time to move on to, as I said, the second hour. And our first speaker there is Professor Amy Lutfi, who is not only a professor both at Örebro University and Linköping University in Sweden, but most importantly, she is the program director for the largest research program in Sweden, the Wallenberg AI Autonomous Systems and Software Program, which is now going to give us an overview of. So Amy, please.
Thank you so much, Frederick. We can keep your mic on and I can
Sure.
use that. Yes. And let me just share my screen. So we do like that. And hopefully everything will soon appear. So thank you so much for the introduction. And I'm going to spend some time telling you about, as Frederick introduced, Sweden's largest research program, which is called WASP. And WASP stands for the Wallenberg AI Autonomous Systems and Software Program. And this is a program that includes a number of partner universities. You see the logos of those universities here. So we have Linköping, Chalmers, Lund, KTH, and Umeå University. And it also includes a number of researchers at selected groups at 3 universities. So Örebro, Uppsala, and Luleå Tekniska University, that is in the north of Sweden. And the program is funded by the Knut and Alice Wallenberg Foundation. And this is a foundation that funds a lot of research in Sweden, primarily in the areas of natural science and technology. The Wallenberg foundations have a number of foundations that fund sort of different areas. And Knut and Alice Wallenberg is the funder of WASP. And we have a vision and a mission. And the program itself started in 2015. And one of the things that I think is particularly good is that we've also slightly adjusted and adapted the vision as time has gone by. So in 2015, when the program was initially launched, the focus was on autonomous systems and software. Then in 2018, there was an addition to artificial intelligence. And really, the vision is excellent research and competences in these fields. And it really is a program for the nation in the sense that the research that is done should come to the benefit of Sweden. And initially, when the program started, there was a lot of focus on the benefit of Swedish industry, but we've also added society, as we see this is becoming more and more important as AI in particular is becoming more and more prolific. Now, in terms of numbers, so the program is not only longitudinal, but it's quite large in scope. It aims to graduate 600 PhD students. And actually, when we start looking at our numbers, it looks like we are going to graduate almost 700 PhD students within the program. We have the goal to recruit 80 new research groups. And really, this is about bringing top international talent to Sweden. And we've just recently actually extended the program. So it is not only going to go to 2031, but in fact, it will stretch out to 2034. And the reason being is with everything that is happening now in our field, it is certainly not the time to take the foot off of the accelerator. And in fact, we have to keep going. And when we see where we are today, so how far have we come in terms of numbers? Well, first of all, I have to say that these numbers are constantly changing. So already this slide has become quickly outdated, but we're about 75 recruitments now in place. We have approximately 500 active PhDs. And in fact, now we're up to 200 who have defended. And we have a number of companies that are engaged in the program. And might be interesting to know that of the 200 that have defended, what we see is 75% of them have chosen to stay in Sweden after they've gotten their PhD. 60% of them have chosen to go to industry, which is actually the intention of the program, is not only to do a competence injection for academia, but also for industry. And we are at the stage now that we are examining at least one PhD per week. So there are a lot of students that are now coming out of the program, which we're very happy to see. Now, aside from having a number of recruitments in terms of international researchers and in terms of PhD students, we also do a lot of other things. We have, for example, a number of national calls or a number of calls for those partner universities that can apply for collaboration projects where they can work together. And I'll tell you a little bit more about these instruments that we have, because they're quite important for how we not only work as a program in Sweden, but in particular how we also work with others. Now, before I jump into some of the details about the program's sort of setup, I also want to lift some of the things that we are identifying as research challenges. And again, this is moving very quickly. And the research challenges I bring up, these are the ones that we saw from last year. I think many of them still carry on into 2025. But of course, as I said, the field is developing quite quickly. One of the research challenges that you can see appear in a lot of the activities within WASP is how we're dealing with complex data and also models in AI. And this, of course, is foundation models. It deals with how do we look at uncertainty in AI, and how do we maybe even start quantifying that uncertainty? How do we look at systems that are not only autonomous, but also systems that can bring humans into the loop? And how do we do this in a good way, which touches upon aspects of explainability, but also not only that, where aspects, for example, dealing with human AI teaming. When it comes to autonomous systems, there is also a lot of focus on scaling and distribution of resources. This is a big challenge that many projects are looking at, as well as efficiency, verifiability, security, and robustness. And one way that we look at these questions is by bringing in other types of competences. For example, we have recruitments also in the area of cybersecurity that integrate very much with our AI researchers. And I think also something that is important when it comes to efficiency, but not least verifiability, is also the foundational research that needs to be done from the perspective of mathematics. So we do not only invest in researchers that are coming from the computer science domain or the control engineering domain, but we invest as well in foundational methods in mathematics and mathematics researchers. Now, I want to say a little bit again about how the program is set up, because strategic recruitments have been very important for us. And we've had a number of recruitments now coming to Sweden. The majority of them are coming from abroad, not exclusively, but the majority of them come from abroad in order to establish new groups. And we primarily recruit at the assistant professor level, and we give them quite generous research packages. So they receive 2 PhDs and 2 postdoc positions as part of their relocation package to Sweden. And you can see here roughly how the division is done between the various areas where I mentioned, for example, math, but I also mention areas here like cybersecurity. So we have different specialists coming into the country and building up their groups. And I always think it's nice just to see a few faces and just to see, who are the ones who are coming into Sweden and where do they go. So just some quick examples of recent recruitments. And as part of a program of this size, we're very attentive to how do our recruitments, how well do they manage when they come to, for example, a new country and trying to establish themselves? And what we do see is that many of them are doing quite well. We were actually a bit concerned when you sort of establish programs of this scale, of whether or not it would overshadow all the other funding, or whether or not, for example, it would be difficult for those researchers to sustain their careers using other sources. But in fact, this hasn't quite happened. They're doing quite well in attracting other external funding. They're very good at bringing and linking their international networks. And they are also sort of very good at making sure that they're integrating into the kind of Swedish academic system, which is very good to see. So these assistant professors are sort of long-term recruits. Something else that we've also tried to lift and to promote is mobility. And mobility, as we all know, is very important for doing research. And one of the things that we would like to do is not only give the opportunity for those to go abroad, particularly if they graduate from the program, but we also give what we call repatriation support for certain postdocs, which means that a postdoc, or rather a PhD student who graduates, can apply for an international postdoc. And if they receive this international postdoc, they also get help to come back to Sweden after they finish their postdoc period. And we have an example here that I lifted of Rebecca, who is actually one of our alumni of the year, where she started off her PhD in working in Chalmers, coming from Germany to Chalmers, and then doing a postdoc at CMU in the US, and then coming back to Sweden and really now building up her own group. And in fact, this is important because we want to find people who can really contribute to, say, the Swedish landscape of researchers. And these people should come from different walks of life. So one of the things we also pay very close attention to, and we want to lift, is the importance of diversity and inclusion. And we've made actually very specific initiatives to ensure that when we see a disproportionate imbalance in particular recruitments, that we can balance that up. And a very concrete example is when we were doing the strategic recruitments for machine learning, we actually had predominantly men who were receiving the positions. And we thought, here we can actually do something to make sure that there is also a balance of the underrepresented gender. So we work very actively with diversity and inclusion. Now, I mentioned some of the challenges or some of the topics we are looking at in WASP, and let me just sort of drill down into some of these a bit more. So there are a number of thematic areas where we look at those challenges, and they can, of course, be seen as horizontals in a matrix-like structure. Then you can look at some of the main areas within WASP as verticals, like AI and autonomous systems and software. But I do have to say that in the past year, what we're seeing now, particularly with the advances of AI, that this kind of matrix structure is getting more and more blurred. And in fact, AI in the program is both a horizontal, so it's being used, for example, to look at the next generation of software technologies, as well as a vertical. We have people who are really doing foundational research on AI. So we're seeing a very interesting metamorphosis of how the research topics and the research program is developing. Now, I'm not going to go too much into details here, but I do want to say that we do work, or at least we try and work with some sort of regularity, because the program is 10 years, and actually in Sweden, it's not that common to see programs that are so longitudinal. There are a few, but because we're in our 10th year, we feel that one benefit is that we can be fairly predictable. And I lift this up here because there are calls that happen in our regular stack of calls that are particular for collaboration. So if you're interested in what I'm presenting here, then please have a look at our web page. It's waspsweden.org, and always have a look at what kind of calls are there. And in a moment, I'll tell you a little bit more about how we work with internationalization, and there could be opportunities for collaboration. Speaking about collaboration, one of the things we want to do, and I'm not sure how it works, of course, in all countries, but we feel that we need to encourage collaboration across strong research groups in Sweden. Normally, what you see is that there are a couple of groups that are really strong at doing things within their group. They are very good at doing activities with other groups in other countries, but we also felt that we should incentivize collaboration between groups in Sweden. So we have what we call nests, and they're a bit like EU projects, where you basically work together with a number of different groups, but you're working very much on foundational research and collaborating. And we collaborate a lot with not only researchers that are in the WASP program, but also researchers that are in other programs. And so here, let me tell you about some of the other programs briefly, particularly how we work together. So one of the things that, again, the Knut and Alice Wallenberg Foundation supports is another program on data-driven life science. And that particular program focuses a lot on how to really leverage from AI in order to look at different challenges within the area of life science. And we have actually joint calls together. Likewise, we have also a partnership with a program that is about material science. And as we know, if we're really going to get to those next generation of technologies, we need a lot of research in the area of material science. And AI has an enormous ability to contribute to these sciences. And here we also have a number of initiatives that we work on together, among which the Nest. But of course, something that is very important for the areas of AI is the perspectives from humanities and social sciences. And there is a program, not by the Knut and Alice Wallenberg Foundation, but another foundation that focuses on those dimensions. And again, we have collaborations together. So working with the other programs is a way in which we can also sort of extend our reach as we work with the areas of AI, autonomous system, and software. And perhaps one of the things that is really interesting for us, and something that is a focus, particularly going forward, is the general area of AI for science and AI for scientific discovery. And it's both when it comes to how AI is impacting scientific workflows, but it's also dealing with all the other sciences that I haven't quite mentioned yet. You know, I mentioned life science and material science, but there's, as we know, climate science and physical sciences, engineering sciences. And here, something that becomes very important is our access to compute. And WASP collaborates with the supercomputing sort of resources that are in Sweden. At Linköping University, there is Berzelius, which is a key enabler for doing a lot of research in AI. And it is a GPU cluster that we can leverage. And bringing that into AI for science and the work that we're doing in WASP is a key focus. Now, I'd like to mention a bit about internationalization. And we have a couple of tools that are available to encourage internationalization. I mentioned the postdoc program already, but one thing that we also encourage is that we want our PhD students to really try and do research stints abroad. And these are quite flexible. So at any point in time, a PhD student can write and say, I'm interested in going here for about 3 months. And here, I think there are plenty of opportunities to see collaborations between our two countries. We also have annual study trips. Every year, we bring somewhere between 20 to 50 PhD students and organize a trip. We've been to the US, we've been to Canada, we've been to Singapore and Japan, and also different countries in Europe. It would be very nice to organize as well study trips. For example, I don't think we've had a study trip in Brazil yet. So there is probably a lot of opportunities for us to see exchanges. And these students, normally when they do their study trips, they kind of see a little bit about what's happening in other places and often want to return either as doing sort of a short research stint or maybe even selecting that country to do their postdoc. We have a number of formalized partnerships with certain universities. So there you see the international partner universities. And we've just as well worked on a few new partners that emerged in 2024. Two of them were Mila and Imperial College in London. And we're always looking to strengthen our partnerships. And I'm just going to round off a bit here, a bit more about the grad school. I usually call the grad school the kind of jewel in the crown because we have so many PhD students. Like I said, we aimed for 600. We will probably hit about 700. And one of the things that we want to do with the grad school is really to not only create that community, but provide education. Because in Sweden, the PhD education is 3 years plus often 1 year. It can be a bit more for courses and education. So we actually create courses and create activities for our PhD students. And I mentioned that we are now outputting PhD students at a very, very high rate, almost 1 per week. In fact, I checked the other day and we are actually having 1 or more than 1 per week. And there are a number of things that the students get in terms of offers. We do arrange summer schools, we do arrange courses, and we also see that these activities really thrive of having a strong international component to them. So for example, having guest lecturers from other countries coming into the courses, or having people from, again, other countries helping out in arranging summer schools and doing these summer schools together is something that we're very interested in pursuing. And we have a graduate school manager. Previously, it was actually Frederick who was the graduate school manager. Now it is Daniel Gillblad from Linköping University, and they really work in a systematic way. So it's a very good and thriving graduate school. And this is my last slide, where I'll only say that we do work very much in terms of creating an excellent research program, but interfaces to industry and society are very important for us, and we're always looking for ways as well to get in touch with those partners and actors. So with that, I'd like to just say thank you very much, and yeah, pass the word over to you.
Thank you very much for that presentation, Amy. So let's jump right into the next presentation. So we will take questions after both presentations. So next I would like to welcome Lilian Berton from Unifesp, who will present the Jasmine, I guess you pronounce it that way, platform and Brazil's journey to Industry 4.0. So Jasmine, sorry, Lilian, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. I would like to thank Professor Carlos for the invitation. I will talk about a nice center in Brazil called Jasmine Platform. And the main focus of the center is to propose solutions for Industry 4.0. A brief presentation of myself. I have a PhD on computer science from University of São Paulo. This university was previously presented by another professor here. And after my PhD, I become a professor at the Federal University of São Paulo. It's a very similar name, but are different universities, okay? I coordinate a research group in my university with around 30 students of master, PhD, and undergraduate students. And I also coordinate some research projects here in Brazil. Regarding Jasmine platform, I am one of the main investigator responsible for one of the research lines of this platform. I will tell more about it in next slides. I also coordinate a project that is a collaboration between Brazil and Swiss, funded by FAPESP and Swiss National Science Foundation. And this project is related with fairness in machine learning for medical imaging. I also have some projects regarding the using of machine learning and AI in finance, financed by Serasa Experian, and another project using AI in aviation, funded by Brazil agencies, CNPq and Embraer. And I also collaborate with other projects in Brazil, especially in the health area, because my university is very famous in the health areas. You can feel free to add me in LinkedIn. So if anybody are interested in collaborations, you can connect me. So today I will talk about this Yasmin platform, that the main goal is to propose solution for industries, some industries that collaborate with this platform in Brazil. Brazil is very known for agriculture and farmer production. I think we are one of the biggest exporter of soybeans, corn, coffee, chicken, meats, and this kind of products. But the agriculture and farmer production generate around 30% of Brazil productions. And we also have some industry here that are not so famous internationally. And this industry collaborate with around 25% of our production. We also have some other kind of productions like iron and gas, natural gas, petroleum, something like that. And we have very few production in technology. Technology in Brazil corresponded to less than 10% of our country production. So we have this kind of gap in our country because we don't develop a lot of technology and we don't employ a lot of technology in our productions, in agriculture or in the industry here. So the Brazilian government decided to invest and to finance some projects using AI in Brazil. And since 3 years ago, Brazil government opened this call for projects, and different universities and companies apply for these calls, and some of them were selected to receive this financial, and they try to financial different sectors of projects employing AI in different applications. And one of these centers was platform Yasmin, that the focus was industry. So this platform was created in 2023, and the project duration is estimated to finish in 2028. The main institution where the platform is hosted is Instituto de Pesquisas Tecnológicas do Estado de São Paulo. So it is located in São Paulo. And we also have a lot of other universities collaborating with this platform. Here I put some names, but we have more than 10 universities collaborating. The main universities are located in São Paulo. So São Paulo is the state of Brazil that have more industry, more universities, and more developed. This platform was supported by some Brazilian agents like FAPESP and MCTI. And we also have the collaboration of 6 companies that was Siemens Energy, Siemens, Braskem, Bosch, Stellantis, and Klabin. 5 of these companies are international companies that have some factory or something here in Brazil, or some exploitation, implementation, something like that. Only Klabin is a total Brazilian company. And Klabin, the main product is paper. A lot of kind of papers. And the main objective of this project was to develop research and diffusion and technologies for transfer AI for manufacturing. And so we have two main governance in this platform. One of them is the government institution. The main institution responsible is FAPESP. So this is a research institution from the São Paulo state. And the other governments is from the side of the companies. So the companies are active in this project. They also participate actively. They participate in the meetings. They have a kind of committee. So we have a committee of companies, a committee of professors, where each one discuss isolated what they want, the problems, what they can do. And sometimes we also have some meetings together and workshops where the companies and the researchers meet and present the results, what they are doing, and the further steps of the platform. And since the government finance the part of this project, we also have to do some annual reports and submit to the government agents, reporting what we did, where we expend money, if we have some scholarship for the students, and so on. So the money come part of the Brazilian government agents and part from the companies as a private investment. So it was basically 50% of the investment divided into both kinds of Brazilian agencies and companies. The Brazilian agency are mainly funding the scholarship for the students and some money for paper publication, so more academic things. And the companies are funding infrastructure and other kind of stuffs. The idea is that the companies present for the researchers and the university problems in data that they didn't solve by themselves. So we have this kind of problem, we have this kind of data that we are collecting. Can you analyze and propose some solution using an AI for us? So for we have access for this data, we sign a no disclosure agreement. So at the universities and all the companies, everybody signed this. And we also sign a research collaboration agreement with a lot of clauses, including also intellectual property. So all of this was documented, what we can do, what we cannot do with the data, how we can diffuse the results and publish papers. So all of this was decided together with the companies and universities and sign a lot of terms of use. In Brazil, we have one main law about data protection that is called General Data Protection Law. We still don't have a lot of laws regarding AI, like the European AI Act and the USA AI laws. We are starting creating some laws here about the using of AI, so we don't have how to follow this because we are still creating this kind of laws regarding AI use here. We only have this old law about data protection, so we cannot use or make public personal data from people or companies, something like that. The idea of this platform is to investigate some companies' problem that they present to us, but we also are open to do research with related areas and also to receive another companies in the platform. So it's very strict that we can only research and analyze these 6 companies' problems. We have some freedom to analyze also another problems, or if in the future another company want to join us, this maybe can be also possible. These companies are very different what they produce. So we have company of the energy sector, paper production, gas, natural exploitation, car building. So it's diverse kind of companies and problems that we need to analyze and solve. So this was good. It's difficult, of course, because you have different kind of problems and companies to deal, but it's nice because we open for a lot of kind of opportunities and different kind of problems and technologies that we can exploit inside of this platform. To organize the platform, since the beginning, it was divided in 6 research lines. And for each research line, we have a main professor responsible for this line. So I am responsible for prescriptive maintenance line. And we also have another professor responsible for real-time monitoring and control, digital twin, interoperability and supply chain integration, autonomous system, robotics and machine tools, and cybersecurity. And beside this main professor responsible, we also have a lot of associated researchers from these all universities from São Paulo that are part of this center. And they are also associated with one or more than one of these research lines. And everybody can have students and do research related of these main topics. And the companies also find some problems or data related with this topic and present for the responsible research to investigate it. We also have some problems that connect one or more of these lines, and then we work together. The platform was also designed to follow some working packages. So at the beginning, the first year, it was, what we did was try to understand the challenges of the companies, the state of the art of AI in industry, something like that. Then we investigate some researches and developed methods applied to industry. Then the idea is to develop some solutions for the companies and also do a proof of concept and also a demonstration plants inside of the industry if possible. And beside this, during all the time, we are also interested in education and knowledge dissemination. So we promote some courses about AI, and these courses are open to everybody and mainly for industry functionaries. We make these workshops, at least one workshop per year to disseminate the results and the researches. We publish papers. So we have a lot of actions regarding education, knowledge dissemination. And also regarding technology transfer. So how can we transfer mainly in the working package 3 and 4? So all the things that you are doing in academia to the companies. We have some problems during the creation and the development of the researches. In the first year, the companies were very high engaged. They want to identify a lot of problems. They want us to solve all of their problems. So they are very excited about it. So we also contract a consulting company to identify all the problems of the company if they have similar problems or not, how can we distribute the problems among the researchers. So everybody was very, very motivated. But then some problems appears. And some of these problems is the detail of the problems they are investigated. So mainly the consulting company, they only collect some general problems. So they cannot see the detail, the data, if the solution is scalable, it's possible to do this, it's possible to do that. So we only have some general vision, but to solve this problem, we will need much more information and details. And this was only possible with direct contact with the company, with the people that work in the company. So then we try to move a bit the strategy, and we started to have some meetings with companies. So each professor and each company establish some meetings to give more details, to try to find a solution together, something like that. And then we also have another kind of problems, because not all the companies are very participative of these meetings. Some companies participate a lot and we have a lot of meetings, and others very few or zero meetings. So it was impossible to work with these companies because we cannot understand very well what they want, what kind of solution they would like to explore, something like that. And at the end of the first or second year, one of these companies go away from the platform because they feel they are not receiving any benefits and something like that. But I think the main problem was the communication that failed between the universities and the companies. But other companies are very active and very participative, and we could explore different problems and ideas with them. Other problem that appeared was the time expectation, because for the main companies in the world, time is money, and they want a solution very fast. In academia, we don't have this same time development because we don't have employees, we have students, and we need to do a student selection process, to apply a scholarship for the student. The student needed to do courses. So all of these are taking time, and the students are not like an employee that are only working for the company. And also the student cannot only provide a simple solution. The students are doing a research. So the student needed to do a systematic review of the literature. The student needed to understand all the techniques, the state of the art of that problem, to propose an interesting solution, because you also want to publish papers. So this was a big problem also, because companies think of one way and academia another way. So we need align these expectations. So what can we do to make both sides happy? Regarding my research line, that is prescriptive maintenance, I could develop these 8 projects with some of the companies, failure detection approach for Braskem pyrolysis furnace, a failure prediction system for Siemens Energy capacitor factory, a pattern and fault recognition in different equipments for Klabin, bruise detection in chicken videos from Siemens, failure analysis for assembly line in Stellantis, failure detection in Siemens Energy boring machine, and leak detection in industrial pipelines at Braskem. So all of these 8 problems, we propose the solutions, we investigate different kind of machine learning, deep learning, and another AI's techniques. And from these 8, 4 of them was selected to develop proof of concept because the solution proposed align with the company expectation, and now we will try to implant the solution inside the company and see if it will really work for them in the next year. Okay. So we have some problems, and we, during this time, are trying to solve the problems, but we also have a lot of benefits with this cooperation. I think it is one of the few cooperations of the academia and industry in Brazil, because this is not very common here. So people still don't know very well how is the best way to work, how to do this cooperation, and we are all learning together with this. But this is a great opportunity for students and professor researchers apply these researches and techniques in real-world industrial problems, because many times we are only working with toy data sets, something like that. Many of the papers in AI and industry are about private data set that you don't have access, or toy data set. So it's very difficult. You have access to a real world data set with a real company and to analyze how this algorithm will perform in this problem in this data. So this was a great opportunity for us. We also can explore different kind of artificial intelligence techniques in different industrial contexts, since we have all these kind of companies with different sectors. So this was also a great benefit, because we can see what can we use in a gas exploitation company, what can work for a paper production company. So the equipments are different, the problems are different, the data sometimes are different. So this opens us to analyze some problems in the literature that was very interesting. And I didn't talk a lot here about the researchers that we are doing, but if everybody are interested can contact me later. The researchers are talking about which technique of AI are used and which problem are you exploring. This was more a general view of the platform, what kind of things we are doing. But I work with AI, and we mainly are dealing with forecasting problems to analyze sensors data and try to prevent some failure in the equipment. I work with natural language processing, analyzing reports from the companies, trying to identify some insight, or use LLM to analyze the reports, doing some algorithm that help to understand or find some information. I'm working with computer vision. Some companies send us drone images, and then we can identify problems from analyzing videos. So I'm working with all kinds of AI approaches with different kind of problems. So it was being very rich and interesting for the research. So that's all. I would like to thank you. And here are my email, and you can also find me in the LinkedIn, and I'm open to talk and share more ideas and collaborations. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation. So we have a few minutes for questions. Unfortunately, Amy got a call, so I'm here all alone, but I might be able to answer any questions you might have about the VASP program myself anyway. So I would like to open the floor if there are any questions or comments. I mean, it's always good also to reflect and relate to your own experience in these areas and so on.
I just want to take the opportunity to thank Lilian for the talk, and very detailed and experience of how to join university and industry. Very particular example in Brazil. Very, very nice to share it with us. Thank you, Lilian.
So I have some
Thank you.
questions that I'm curious about, because, so for example, do most students continue in these companies? So that this is one way for the students to get good industry contacts, and this is a good way for the companies to recruit talented people.
Yes, mainly for the undergraduate students, they can participate of some intern process of the companies. So not all the companies are open for this to observe our students, but some of them, yes. And of course, this is also another kind of opportunity, not only for the students to do a research, apply to industry, but them try to participate of some employee opportunity also. So in some companies it was possible. We can notice this.
Thank you. So we got a question from Rafael Fernandez, who asked about the journey to Industry 4.0. What is the biggest challenge to connect manufacturing data and make it available to be used by AI models? And how did you solve these challenges? And finally, are there any interesting case to share regarding vehicles manufacturing?
Yes, until now we did not connect our solution inside the company because they only access the data set and send us some part of this data for us test the algorithm. So next year we are planning to take this algorithm and connect with the data sets and I don't know, the cloud, wherever they store the data, and make a real processing of the data by the algorithm. So we only will have this final experience next year. There is a plan of that workshop to develop the plan of demonstration and try to implement this in the company. So I'm not sure if it will be easy or not to connect our algorithms and frameworks with the data set, but I hope if the company are very interested in solution, they also can help or contract some functionality to help to integrate the both sides. And some of them are really interested. They really want to see the solution in their company, but I will only have this experience next year to confirm if it worked or not. Because until now we don't have access to the direct cloud of the company. They only send us some part of the data for us validate in the algorithms, okay? But we can contact me next year if you still want to know how we finish this, okay?
Thank you. So actually now we got the two more questions. So actually it's 5 o'clock, but I think we will take these two questions. And so the first one is, does Jasmine platform have any program that promotes entrepreneurship for young researchers?
We only have the scholarships opportunity for master PhD students, okay? So we have some open opportunities. If a student are interested in doing a master, a PhD, or a postdoc, we still have some scholarship, but this is the only way that they can collaborate, okay?
Thank you. And that question came from Alexander Holmo. And then the final question is from João Bosco Gonçalves, who asked, how is the technology developed transferred to industry? And is the issue of shared patent ownership addressed? So how is IP questions dealt with?
We have some terms that was signed in the beginning of the project about the patents, and of course the university and the Brazilian institution and the companies will have part of the patent if we register some patent. Until now, we didn't register. Unfortunately, in the Brazilian university, it's not very common to register patents. We only publish papers. So we are very open to disseminate all the knowledge by free. We don't think how to get money from this. Unfortunately, it's a culture here. But the platform was very interested and tried to incentivize us also to register some patents. So we are trying to change this culture from our university, and I hope that we can register something. But usually we only publish papers. This is the most common way that we spread our work and our research.
Thank you very much. In the interest of time, I think we have to close now. So I thank you very much, both all the speakers and all the participants for your questions and engagement. So I think it's very interesting to develop these kind of lessons learned from different types of AI institute and centers and initiatives, both in Brazil and in Sweden, and really this how we can what should we say, take advantage of the fact that we have this collaboration. So I found this very interesting and stimulating. So thank you very much from my side. Carlos, do you also want to have some closing words?
Just thank you very much for all presenters. It's a very good talk. We learned a lot of the lessons learned. Good.
Excellent. So thank you very much and have a nice rest of the day in Brazil and have a nice evening here in Sweden. Until next time, have a good time.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.